Welcome to Tom's Diner, a Cyberpunk TCG podcast. My name's Dodd.
And I'm Andy.
This is episode 5. We're going to pick up where we left off with episode 4 and finish speculating about the as yet unrevealed powers on the legends that are going to be in the beta box. We almost got episode 4 out before the stream that revealed Padre. I said he would be second. Andy said he would be first.
And I only said Padre because Dodd said Regina would be first, but I'm still taking the win on that one.
That's right. I don't know how Padre's going to be green. I haven't speculated on what his power is because we already did green, but we did decide to each do a prediction about what the last one will be. I still think Regina, he's going to say Mr. Hands, and we've each prepared a power for that. So,
and I did come up with a power for Padre, actually, so I can save that for another time.
Oh, then do it now. So we're going to do yellow and red today because we did green and blue in episode 4. And we're not going to really talk this time about the new stream with the color tree. We're going to wait till they've done both episodes and done the whole color tree. In our next episode, we'll talk about that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the powers for our yellow and red legends that haven't been released yet. You want me to go first this time?
Sure.
All right, so we're going to do them in the order I have on my sheet. Start with Carry Uridine, Axe, Attitude, Audience, yellow. My power for him is call, ready this legend. If a friendly unit or legend is defeated, shuffle any gears attached to that unit or legend into your deck. So my thought here is, A, there's nothing else in the game that shuffles your deck. We've got a bunch of cards that bottom deck, which for a game with 7 or 8 turn timer means they're out of the game.
Right.
So this would not only fit in the yellow gear manipulation sphere that we've seen so far, but also be one way if you've got other cards bottom decking like, say, Evelyn Parker, that you could potentially get those cards back into circulation without it being broken.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because not really having thought about that much, right now, bottom decking is worse than discarding.
Yes.
There's things to get things out of the trash, but nothing that gets it off the bottom of your deck.
And it's very unlikely they're ever going to give us a full deck tutor.
Right. I mean, I would hope that they wouldn't, honestly. That's
it would have to be very, very narrow.
Yeah.
So like, go find a weapon and remove this card from the game or something might do.
Yeah, if it was V trying to find Dying Light or Alt trying to find Soulkiller or something very specific. Right. But yeah, no, I think that's a good idea.
What you got?
So for Carrie, I was thinking essentially that he wants to be in a group. So he's better with others than he is solo. So just like you, when called, ready this legend, and then he has a spend ability to search the top 3 cards of your deck for a unit, add it to your hand, and bottom deck the rest. So you could either search for a unit, or you could try to search for a rocker boy or a samurai, something like that. I didn't know if it should be more limited than just search for a unit, but just trying to find a way to not cheat units out, but do some digging in your deck to try to, like a go-wide strategy.
So the opposite, basically, of my idea, because you're going to put more cards on the bottom. All right, let's move on to Muammar Reyes El Capitan, yellow. My power for him is flip. Search the top 5 cards of your deck for 1 Merc or vehicle card and add it to your hand. Bottom deck the rest. Reduce the cost of all Merc and vehicle cards by 1.
Okay. So basing that, I guess, on his sort of last gig in the game, sort of, to go get a vehicle.
Yeah, that and he's a fixer. So again, it's limited to just 2 types of cards. And I made it 5 to give you a chance to actually find one of those. And it doesn't matter what the cost or power is because you're only getting 1 card and the rest are going on the bottom. But I also want cost reduction. And now that we've seen a card that actually has cost reduction on it, we know we're playing in territory that they're willing to go in already.
Right. So on my side, I went a little bit different. In the game, El Capitan has sort of a weird relationship with the street criminal life, where he has a little bit of a character arc and a change in the way that he views the world around him and gigs and things like that, right? If you played through the game, he's all about wanting street cred and wanting to be the guy.
And later he just retires.
And later he retires and he's donating money. He's doing different things. So I may have gone too far down the theme rabbit hole here, but it's if you have higher street cred than your opponent, your units have +1. And also gave him a spend ability that has increased the value of one of your gigs by 2. So he gets a benefit if you have the higher street cred, but then he's also has a way to give you additional street cred.
48 hours ago, I've been like, that sounds great. Now I have to say that sounds like red.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Be it as may, that's cool. It's exploring the theme in 2 very different ways. I like it. Next is Rogue Amendiaris, Preem Solo, yellow.
Let me take a guess here. You're going to have a go solo ability on Rogue.
I think if the card says she's a solo, she needs to be able to go solo. Yeah. So yes, I did. Go solo 5/7, flip, draw a card, then sell an eligible card. Attack, return a plan card from your trash to your hand. So I'm looking at this going, I want to get more cards into the Eddies row. Yellow seems to be the right way to do that because it has to be an eligible card. So you only get to feed 1 card into your hand. So you either have to have it already before you flip or you draw it, or you might miss it. But then there's only 2 plan cards in the game of what we've seen. They are Industrial Assembly and Florit. But I also presume that they didn't create tags that aren't going to be used. And of all the people to have some interaction with that keyword, Rogue seems like the best one. So that's why I said return a plan card from your trash to your hand so you can keep using your plans.
Yeah, and it allows you to ramp, but also immediately replaces the card that you put into the Eddie's row.
That's right.
Assuming you have...
Well, you get a card to put there.
Correct. But I like the way that that's constructed because it still has value if you don't have a plan card.
Right.
It adds added benefit if you have a plan card, but you're still ramping if you don't. So I think that's a good, cool combo of like, there's a little bit of top end there that it's like, man, hopefully I can, get this perfect roll sort of. Like I've used this already and it's turn 4 and I call this leader. Now I've got it in the trash. So I think that's cool.
And there's plenty of room for them to, if this card was to be printed, to put more plan cards out knowing that it exists.
Yeah. So mine starts very similar. Go solo 5/6, so slightly weaker than yours. But I gave her the ability, cyberware upgrades cost 1 less when played on this unit. So you could potentially, if she's a solo, you can get cool cyberware upgrades and sort of build her up cheaper. But I also think that we're going to see some upgrades specifically that you might want to keep in your Legends row that might have an impact on the rest of the game without having to have those Legends be in play or without having to try to move them, from Pan Am to a unit.
As we discussed last time, Creed did strongly hint we're going to have that. So yes.
So I think it would be a neat balance, right? It's like, she's sort of like your idea with planning. Like she's building up in the Legends row, and then at some point you're going to bring her out. She's going to be souped up.
All right. Excellent. So now we're going to go to red. So I discussed last time that my Johnny Silverhand was a thing they weren't going to be willing to do for a couple of sets at least. And then the lead designer on the stream the other day specifically talked about what this card I've designed before that stream was released. I want to make that clear. Does when he suggested things you could do with dice. One of which was in here. So let me just read it.
Yeah.
Johnny Silverhand, Rocking Renegade, Go Solo 6/5. When this legend steals a gig, you may take a different gig of a lower value than a friendly gig from the rival's gig area and put it on this legend. If this legend leaves play, your rival returns the gig to his/her completed gig area. This legend may only have one gig on it at a time. Return any gig on this legend to your rival if you take a new gig from your rival. While a gig is on this legend, it is considered out of play for all game purposes other than the text of this legend. Now, that's a lot of...
My immediate thought, and I'll let you talk more about the card in a second, is I think that's very cool, and I think that's awesome. But as you're reading that text, I'm just picturing the giant Chaos Orb magic card that everybody had as a meme. It's like when you play Johnny Silverhand.
I have one of those, actually.
Yeah, you have to put that on the table that's 5 times the size of the other cards just to show all the text.
I felt it necessary to make sure it was very clearly delineated. I mean, some of this text is purely legalistic, but...
From a lawyer?
I
No
know,
way.
But if you don't put it on the card, like if you don't say it's considered out of play, people are going to angle shoot with it. But the basic idea is to buy you a turn. That if you're on 6 and he steals one, now it's on him and you can't win at the beginning of your next turn. And now you have to deal with Johnny. And he's only a 5. He's not super powered, but he becomes your immediate problem because you lost a gig to him taking one and then another one. And I did adjust it slightly after the episode 8 stream because I think I had it same number of sides and I changed it to power level because that's what they talked about with red. So just adjusting it to fit their scheme. Now, again, I don't think they're going to do this card in set 1, but I think this is definitely reasonably within the potential design space. He did specifically say putting dice on cards or even your deck was a thing he was thinking about.
So my question for you is, how upset will you be if they have something similar to this ability, but it's on a different legend?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I chose to put it on Johnny because the art is the concert that they're throwing to go save Alt. So this was the best card in the art thematically. Yeah. But no, if they give a power like that to Regina or whatever, I don't know. Fine. Yeah. What you got?
So my version could not be more different than that. Go solo, 6/9. So very, very powerful, but again, he has to be called. So it's effectively an 8/9. Right, you have to spend it. He has no other ability, and there's a limiting factor here for why and again, you can change the power if it needs to be 6, 7,
he's as strong as
whatever. Right. So there are units that come in that are already more powerful. The ability that I gave him is if you have fewer units than your rival, this unit cannot be blocked. So again, whatever the power level has to be, fine. Because if you have fewer units, it can be 2 for all it matters if he can't be blocked. Right. But wanted to have an ability for him to be able to not be stopped. If he's by himself, he's a force of nature. He's going to go in and get the job.
All right, moving on, we're going to do Rebecca, Having a Moment, red. So I play a lot of Cyberpunk-related stuff, including the Combat Zone miniatures game, which has an Edge Runners expansion that I own, and all of the Edge Runners are little acrylic colored standees, but they also included one of Rebecca and Adam Smasher. The moment he kills her, she's shooting straight up and he's shooting straight down. It's called The Moment. So I took my inspiration for having a moment from The Moment. I feel like Rebecca would be furious if you kept her out of the fight, so she has to go solo. So she is go solo 6/5+. This legend has +3 power for each equipped weapon. Defeated, take one weapon attached to this legend and attach it to another friendly unit or face-up legend instead of discarding it.
All right. Well, without talking about yours at all, I'll just go ahead and say that my ability here is go solo. This unit has +2 for each weapon gear attached.
Well, I made it +3 because it's restricted to one type. And there's already something that does Royce does +2 for everything. So I figured it should be a little stronger. And the thing about getting one of the weapons back is she leaves guts in the grass for a year for you to find. So
oddly enough, I actually started her a lot smaller. I made her a 3/3 just with the idea
because she's so
tiny.
Yeah,
she's very small.
We're both doing the fingers close together.
She's very small, but then she doesn't really do cyberware. She's not into that, but she's really good with...
She's got implants.
She's got implants, but she's more focused on guns. And so having a bonus for additional weapons, weapon that adds +2 already, and now it's effectively a +4. She gets pretty big pretty fast. You give her a gun, and she's...
That's why you started her at 3.
Just so she's not immediately, and it's also a lower cost, right? Yours was, I think, a 6?
I made her 6/5+.
6. So sort of the same concept, but at a different price point, right? If it's lower, you can't have as large of an increase.
Well, with Royce getting +2 for even a mandibular upgrade, I think she needs to be +3 or even +4 if she's just getting weapons, but where you put her power level would be relevant.
Right, yeah.
All right, that one is the closest we've come to having the same thing. But since I took my inspiration from The Moment, I gave her a defeated power. All right, so then we have Adam Smasher, Ender of Legends, red. This one was tough because I was trying to figure out a way to take that name, Ender of Legends, and make it interact with Legends. And I couldn't come up with anything that didn't make him basically meaningless unless you had to go solo on your rival's side. So I just dumped that and I revised him after watching the episode 8 stream to fit into the maximize. So I'd already made 2 red go solo, so I decided not to make him a red go solo. Plus that would have red be half go solos if they were to do it. So it's just call, defeat a rival unit of power 3 or less, and add it to your Eddie's area face down. It is considered sold for all game purposes. If you have at least 7 street cred and your street cred is higher than your rival, the cost to play friendly Arasaka units is reduced by 1.
That's a lot of abilities. I like the idea of defeating a unit and turning it into cash.
Yeah, based on what they said in the stream, that's a very red way to ramp.
Right, and I do like that, and again, we're not going to go far into the stream because we're going to talk about the color wheel, but I did think it was cool, for lack of a better word, to see that they want to give every faction the ability to ramp, or the ability to control, or draw cards, but they're just going to do it in a different way. They're going to have different triggers for that ability.
What you got for Adam?
So I did actually make him a go solo, just because the image that I have of Adam Smasher is shockingly, smashing things. And again, with the Ender of Legends, I tried to come up with a way to remove him from the game, to return a legend to your rival's legend row, but then it's expensive, and what does it actually get you? Because then they could still bring them back out, or you can't just
have to have one again.
Yeah, and you can't just have an ability with him that's kill a legend, because that's too strong. So
exactly, all that stuff.
Yeah, and hopefully, their game designers were not. Hopefully they find a cool way to maintain that theme and the flavor text in a way that doesn't break the game or isn't so underpowered that you wouldn't want to do it. So I made him a go solo. I made him also a 6/9 so that he's the exact same strength and cost as Johnny Silverhand.
Well, he is the guy who killed Johnny, so he should be stronger.
He is. Well, you can be the same strength as long as you pull the trigger first. So his ability is this unit may attack ready rival units.
That is a very good ability.
So he doesn't have to be stronger if he has an ability to attack when other people can't. I think that would be a neat ability, potentially, but more in-game. Obviously, you wouldn't want that on an early game unit. But I think for somebody like Adam Smasher, that's a legend that you're building your deck around, that effectively costs 8 to get on the table.
Yeah.
It's a neat concept.
Oh, I like that. Another example of exploring something we haven't seen done in the design space that's definitely sitting there within reason. So now we're going to do our 4th unrevealed legend, which should be revealed for our next episode. Mine is Regina. She's all about gigs. She gives you 23 gigs and 17 cyber psychos, and then you can bring Skippy back to her. So just counting her gigs she gives you is more than any 2 other fixers in the game combined. So I wanted her to be about gigs. So call, increase the lowest value friendly gig by up to 4. When a friendly unit defeats a rival unit, spend to reroll 1 rival gig.
Yep, that's a neat ability.
And I designed that after watching the stream, so it fits into that. We want to have more street cred, more power, whatever. You don't have to do the whole 4 if there's a reason you wouldn't want to, because you've got green in your deck and you need one to match. I thought it was nice and flexible, and it's all about gigs. Go ahead.
So For me, and I feel like I go to the remove from the game too often. I
Maybe.
think, well, we've seen one of those, right, with alt. But mine, and I've tried to balance this out with saying if you're going to remove it from the game, it has to be something that will counterbalance that and give you something else. And the ability that I gave him is remove from the game, defeat a friendly unit to take control of a rival unit with less power.
So this is Mr. Hands?
Yes, who in the game installs a puppet somewhere that he controls. So it's sort of based on that. The thinking was you could potentially set up a win condition for yourself with his ability. If you're attacking with a unit and stealing a gig, you can then trigger Mr. Hands to remove Mr. Hands from the game.
Is that a spend ability?
Sure, it can be, especially if it's removed from the game. Whether he's ready or not, you could leave him up to have that available. And if it's a spend ability, you could conceivably do it on your opponent's turn to stop them from winning the game against you.
And you thought my Wakako was too powerful.
You are defeating a friendly unit. It has to be a unit with less power.
It's expensive.
You could add a qualifier to it that it has to be a spent unit or something like that. But you're giving an entire legend. Because then if you've attacked, you can get rid of a unit that you've already attacked with and stolen a gig to get another unit that you can then attack with. Or if you're sitting there trying to do the math and they have one blocker and you need to be able to attack twice or 3 times to get past this, you could defeat a unit that's not going to be able to really do anything for you that would be able to be blocked to defeat a blocker or take control of a blocker so that now the board state changes.
No, I like it. And we both ended up with things that take cards away from your opponent and put them on your own side. I like that.
Yeah.
What you got for Padre?
So I wrote down Padre, Man of the Cross. Padre in the game, and I always give this disclaimer because I always start with the theme and what my interaction was with it. He doesn't back a specific group, so it's not going to be a tribal synergy. He's more interested in balance and balance of power and nobody getting too big and nobody getting too small and sort of everything being at a level playing field because then fewer people die and he can operate. And we just had the stream where we're talking about green and wanting to create value pairs, which if you haven't seen that yet is when you have 2 gig dice that have the same value. This is a Dodd wall of text legend.
Well, you know.
So when called, set the value of one of your gigs to the value of one of your rival's gigs. While you have a value pair, your units have +1. So he's trying to get you to the same level as your rival, whether that's additive or subtractive. So you might want to have high street credit, you might want to have low, your opponent might want to have high, and you bring it down. And then also if you have your own value pair, so if you have 2 3s, your units have +1. So you're manipulating stuff, but...
That's pretty potent for a deck that's going to be looking to make as many as possible. I mean, that one cost brain dance they showed us that's in the database now is you get to do it again for every pair you have.
At least the setting is a one-time use. It's only when called. The rest is why you have the value pair.
I know, I like it. So, that's not anywhere near as much text as I put on Johnny Silverhand.
Yeah, that's a good point. Nothing is.
All right, so if you're listening to this episode, presumably it's not the first one you've listened to and you kind of like what we're all about here, you know, doing this niche where we talk about game design and explore what we would like to see in the game. And that's really what these exercises are about. We also don't want to just repeat what everybody else is doing and talk about every single card, but I do want to talk about the remove from the game function on alt in particular, because I look at that card and I cannot for the life of me figure out how it's any good. It's so expensive. You pay to bring her out, and then you get to play a program for free. Now, we've just seen a cost 6 program, so that opens it up somewhat. But still, you're losing a unit and a legend and the income that a legend represents to play a program one time.
Yeah, think about the program that she's associated with. We don't know what Soulkiller does yet, but based on the game, it's going to be pretty powerful. Right, it might take control.
You're assuming Soulkiller will be in the opening set?
I would be surprised, given her ability and her presence as a legend, if it's not.
That's a good point.
Because it seems like it's designed specifically to go get Soulkiller or something along those lines. But we just talked about taking control of units. You have to have a way to get it into your trash to be able to get it back out. So you have to have played it already, or there has to be something that you're doing. But all it takes for it to be good enough to use, I have the same concern you do, there has to be a threshold. It's a very narrow band of not good enough to play, and oh my god, now that's broken because you can play this thing twice in the same turn. Like,
or maybe Soulkiller can only be played from the trash.
Sure, yeah, and their whole design
if it's that powerful.
But even if it's not Soulkiller, as the game expands and you get more cards, that's one of those that you're always going to go back to and say, hey, is there a program now that I can go get, that I can play this turn, go get it, play it again for free, and now that flips the board, or now that gets me something that now I'm stealing 4 gigs on this turn because this program has doubled my power or something crazy like that.
Well, let's do what we just talked about. Let's design Soulkiller right here live in real time.
Okay.
I think that you just said something that sounds very Soulkiller, which is take control, which we stumbled into in different ways in our designs. So in order to be worth giving up a legend, you've got to be able to get a pretty powerful unit. It's in blue, so it's not going to be looking at power levels relative to one another. We don't know what blue's lodestar word is, but it seems to be pretty control-y, so that would fit. So it would probably have to be a blue program. Right? She's blue. So what would be a reasonable way for Soulkiller to take control of an opponent's unit or even legend? At what cost point? I do like the idea of it having to be played from the trash.
I think it would need to be... Well, if it has to be played from the trash, then the cost can go down a little bit.
Yes, that's part of it.
I think if you're just looking straight up at cost, without having to be in the trash, it would have to be like a 7 or an 8.
Well, what about it removes from the game if it's played? Then you can keep the cost at whatever, and you can either play it with her or you can play it straight.
Yeah, because then you're not able to double dip it. You're not allowed to play it, trigger her, get it back, and play it again for free.
So let's put that on there.
Okay. So it's played once per game.
If played from the trash, maybe it's a little cheaper because you have to give up the legend to do it.
Sure, and I think that's kind of a cool ability also. It's like you could play it, but you can get it for cheaper if it's played from the trash, which sort of cancels out with alt because she plays it for free, but if you can find a way to get it back from
you're right.
some other reason.
If we're using alt, we don't have to pay for it, so never mind.
So yeah, I think you would just want a straight up cost then, because once it's in the trash, it's played for free with alt.
It's got to be at least 6 because Carnage isn't as powerful as that.
Well, it depends on what the last line of the card is. If it is take control of a unit, ready it, because if you take control of it and it's already spent, then what's the point?
Right.
If it gives it back at the end of the turn, it can be less expensive.
True.
If it defeats it at the end of the turn, it has to be more expensive.
It's going to have some other limiter on it, and I don't want it to be power level because Soulkiller is Soulkiller and was used on Johnny Silverhand. And, spoiler alert, Saburo Arasaka.
Yes.
So power level is not an issue, but perhaps with no more than 1 gear on it or something like that, because even at a high cost and losing your legend, the card economy is already like crazy with stuff like Placide.
I mean, maybe it's take control of a unit, effectively overwrite one of your own units with it, which is sort of like the Mr. Hands ability that I just said, although that had to be cheaper because it's defeat that unit or use it, like play it as an upgrade, and that unit stats and abilities are now either combined or...
I like this.
Or overwritten.
Remove a friendly unit from the game to take control of a rival's unit or legend. Remove Soulkiller from the game.
Would you want it to be restricted to legends that are in play as units?
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure. There we go. We solved it. Let's just get our Sharpies out.
Let's make that
write that down.
Cost 7 program.
Yeah. I think 7's the right number for that.
And in blue. All right, cool.
There we go. We solved it. We did it.
We did it. All right, that about covers everything we wanted to talk about this episode. Let's move on to the afterlife. Do you have something for our fans?
As always, I do. This one is a book, but it is actually a comic book. And I say this specifically because of the recent live stream that spoiled some new cards, specifically Peace Offering and Carnage at the Coliseum. One of the things from the Kickstarter that I think everybody has thought has been great is the art. And a lot of this art is taken directly from the Dark Horse comic runs. They have started to release them. They're online also, and they're pretty cheap, but they have really nice library editions that are like $45 or $50, but they collect an oversized, bigger than a regular like Marvel Omnibus, like taller format. And the first version is 3 different 4-issue story arcs. And the first one is a story about a trauma team medic. Really, really cool stories. They're a lot of fun, but the art is spectacular on them.
So I'm going to sort of loop back to an earlier episode. I had not read No Consequence, which is the book that Andy recommended a few episodes ago. So I'm already reading 3 other books, and I always need an audiobook for other times. So I got the audiobook of No Consequence, which is read by Shameen, who does Female V in the game, and it is marvelous. I don't think I'd be enjoying it as much without her voicing all the characters. So that would be my recommendation, is skip reading the book and get Shameen's audio.
And follow Andy's previous recommendation. I can second that.
That's everything for this week. Thanks for hanging out with us, Chooms.
Thanks, everybody.